And we're live.
Live.
Okay. So I'm just going to start talking like we are live, even though it says we're setting up the meeting, because last time we did this, it was actually live. And so we're going to let you know that if you respond to us on Facebook, we will come back afterwards because there is a 30-second delay because we're on Zoom. And so we hate that we can't respond right in the moment. And we've been talking about how to do that, but please forgive us. It's not that we're ignoring you. It's just that we can't.
I don't even see it.
No, you don't even see it. And I don't either. I just minimize it. We're just talking to each other. That's what we're doing. That's it.
This is true.
And so today I'm going to introduce myself and tell you the topic. I'm Sally Reed, and my gift is to see energy as it flows through the world. And I can help you heal and change from chronic illness like that. And we're going to talk about anger and the truth around anger. Take it away, Melissa.
And I'm Melissa, and my gift is helping you to tell the truth about yourself. Sally's always saying, Melissa, you always get into the truth about it. And that's what I do. And through a daily movement and mindset practice, that's how you learn to get to your deepest truth. And I help you to do that.
So, Melissa, what Melissa is doing is helping you to get to the truth of your spirit. She's helping you heal your spirit through understanding where the blocks are to connection through body and mindset. And what I do is I help your body, which has been actively preventing you from being connected to spirit, because we are mind, body, and spirit all in balance. And so I guess the last person, well, no, we're working with body, spirit, and mind all at the same time. We got it.
We actually, it's like we're working together in tandem with each other all the time. When you tell a client something and I'm working with the same client, I'm telling them the same thing, except from a different perspective. And they say, hey, that's what Sally said. And I'm like, huh, she didn't tell me.
Yeah, that crap happens all the time.
What your body and your mind is telling me that you need. So this is what I'm giving you. So we're basically speaking out loud what we need all the time through our.
And we do it to each other.
Yeah, it's true. All the
yeah.
time. The worst.
Yeah. And here's the thing is we don't notice our stuff. And that's why we're talking about the truth about anger. Like I didn't notice that it wasn't okay for me to have fun until Melissa pointed it out. Remember, Melissa?
Yeah, that's true. I do remember you were laughing because I'm funny. And you were laughing at me. And you just kept saying, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but that's just so funny. And I remember thinking, why are you sorry? It's funny. It's hilarious. You should laugh.
We should laugh.
Yeah, laughing is important.
Laugh. So how this topic came about, the truth about anger, is from an early morning altercation, shall I say, between my husband and me, where he came home tired and hungry, and I woke up tired and bitchy. We've never done that, have we, guys? And I am a programmed 1950s wife. So when my man comes home, I cook for him.
You're so good at that.
And I'm going to say that he works at night. So when he comes in the morning, neither one of us are at our best. Neither one of us. And so I had cooked something that I wanted eaten in a certain way. And he wanted to eat it in his way. You see, this is how minor this is. Mm-hmm. This is so tiny. And I got all out of joint because he wanted to take it apart and eat it all in his own little way rather than the way the chef wanted him to eat it.
How dare he?
How dare he? So here is the truth about what was going on. Yes, I got mad, but it wasn't about him not eating it right. What it was about was I didn't feel appreciated in what I was doing. So that was a trespass. Mm-hmm. And what his mad was about is I was telling him what the hell to do, and I needed to stop it right then because he's a grown-ass man.
However he wants to eat.
He can eat it the way he wants to eat it.
And, you know, I'm thinking about it, like that's the advantage of having someone that you can call and say, I'm angry. And they don't say, you should be angry. He's a jerk. They say, hey, hey, my friend, what is this anger about?
What is it about? Because it's so tiny.
Why are you really angry? And then that's when you sit back and say, huh, why am I really angry? Like, what is this really about? Because then you realize that in the moment, it's so minuscule to the big picture. It's minor. This is little. But then you're like, but I feel something right now. What am I feeling? And it's causing me to react this way.
And here's the truth about anger. I'm just going to tell you, 100% of anger is about an indicator from your ego to your brain that you have been trespassed against.
Mm-hmm.
As 100%. I mean, you can break it down in all the different layers of anger, and it all boils down to the common denominator of, I have been trespassed against.
That's
right.
it. That sounds right. I think about people when they say, you disrespected me.
That's trespass.
Or you offended me.
Trespass.
And they're angry because they're offended. But then if everyone is not being offended by the same thing, then that means that this is personal. And it's probably something you heard or an experience you had or something that you went through that said, you know what, I'm going to choose to be offended by this.
And remember when we were talking about trigger words? Do you remember that?
Yes, exactly.
And my trigger word is plenty.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
And I figured out why my trigger word is plenty.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a little child and I wanted more, I was shamed with the word plenty.
You already have plenty. How dare you want more?
Bingo.
Interesting. I find that interesting. I was trying to explain to my father, and this is so random, it's just coming to me, about, truth. No, we need to figure out what the truth is. And he kind of got in his feelings a little bit, like, no, there's, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. You're talking honesty. And it was like, but then there's fact, and then there's, the lie. And I'm like, yeah, but what I'm talking about is figuring out your truth. And we went back for a long time, and he was really in his feelings. So I was ready to go, okay, well, fine. You think what you want to think. I think what I want to think. We move on. I do that a lot because it's easier. I don't like to be angry.
I don't either.
And I said, so where is this coming from? And he said, well, when I was a little boy, I lied to my dad one time, and I got in a lot of trouble. And I swore to myself I'd never lie to the old man again. And I'm like, so this is why you are so passionate about this thing called truth. And like, he was actually getting, angry about, no, the truth is the truth. And once he could see that, this is a personal thing. This story is personal to me. He could let go. And he then started to understand that, the truth can be a personal thing.
And it's not that it can be, Melissa, it always is. And here's why. Because we only have these eyes and this mind and these ears to understand this world outside this physical bubble. And whatever our mind, which is why the word plenty became such a trigger word for me, my little 3-year-old temper tantrum self said, but I want more. How dare you say I can't have more? There's clearly more on the table or, on the shelf or wherever it is that I wanted more of.
Yeah.
You see, and so, and my mind became, my mind became personally offended by being shamed by wanting more.
Yeah.
And the truth was, I really did have plenty. And the truth was also that it was okay for me to have more.
Yeah. And you can have plenty more. But, it's just all about perception. And I agree 1000%. We all walk around with, blinders on, not realizing that I can only see through my own eyes. I can only hear through my own ears. And I can only feel and experience what I'm going through the way I choose to perceive it. Everything is perception.
Everything.
Everything. It's, you know, every now and then it's like, okay, well, maybe this is not perception, but no, it is. Everything has to be seen through you. That's why there's always your story, someone else's story, and then what really happened. Well, who knows what really happened, because it's only your
Unless
story.
there was a video, we never know. That's why people say,
Yeah, even in the video, I'm still going to see the video from my perception, and everyone else who watches the video is going to see it from their perception.
you know, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's terrible. You know, you can have a man say, I didn't cheat. But honey, I have a video. And he'll say, but that's not me. It's clearly you. That's your tattoo, right? It wasn't me. I didn't do it. So, you know, some people would say, yeah, well, you know, it was him. But he can say that it wasn't. That's his truth.
And that's exactly why gaslighting works. Because that's another interesting thing about, now we've veered off anger into perception, but that's cool. Let's ride this horse for a while.
Must be more important.
So what is the interesting thing? And anger is a good thing. Now, the guides are bringing it back. This is what they're saying. When we feel trespassed against and we show our anger, and then the other human being with which we are showing our dislike or being trespassed against tells us a story about how they didn't do it, perception can shift into their court. And they say this is a common problem. And it happens frequently as when we're little. So we learn to mistrust our own guidance. And we also learn to mistrust our own anger. So there's two things that anger will do. And this is what they wanted to talk about in today's topic. So do you mind if I share? Is that okay if I just go on and say what they're going to say? Okay. So the first thing they want to say is when you have a quote unquote a mad on, and you do nothing about it, that mad has to go somewhere, because a mad is a vibration. And we all know the vibration. You know, somebody walks in a room that's got a mad on, the whole temperature of the room changes, right? We know that vibration.
Yep.
So when we don't let that vibration out, when we in some way turn that mad inward, which females are great at, by the way, it goes to places in our bodies that cause rigidity, i.e. low backs, hip joints, back of the heart space, top of the shoulders. Any of us have any pain patterns there?
Are you trying to be funny? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
So that's the thing, is if we can talk ourselves out of being mad, if we and I was good at it too. If we rationalize, well, that mad doesn't have a real valid reason. And that's what enlightened people do. But the first thing you have to do is honor your ego for taking the time to explain to you, hey, that's not right. Because that's all that's happening. And if we can just take a couple beats and say, I hear you, honey. I got a mad on. And then solve the root of the mad rather than push the mad somewhere else with logic.
Right.
That's what the guides are talking about, because it becomes insidious in our body. Or we're so happy to share it with everything that isn't valid towards that mad. Now, here's an example. Say you got a good mad on, and then you get out on the road. What are you going to do?
Got to take it out on the drivers, on the other drivers.
You can't help on my way.
Yeah, honking at everybody. Yeah.
Or you're going to take it out on that poor clerk, or you're going to be a really great Karen going in there and screaming at people.
Yeah, the kids definitely get it. I'm sure that I have been the result of someone's angry as a child. And I'm sure it might, you know, it's what we do.
It's
now,
what we do.
If we are someone that stuffs the anger, then how can we release it if we are quote unquote enlightened and, you know, we want to check the anger or at least feel it, acknowledge it? What do we do? Do we scream or cry?
No, that doesn't help. And all it does is reactivate the pathways. Okay. But remember that that scream therapy stuff that was so popular in this, that didn't help. All it does is ruin a lot of people's beautiful singing voices. But what really does help with the MAD is to go down into yourself. And you and I do this all the time, and make friends with that, because it becomes this dark, scary sludge where everybody doesn't want to go. You know, beyond there be dragons. This is the part of my life I cannot examine. You don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So you step into that place. You say, body, show me the darkness. Show me that place. And just bring light to it and say, this is a low vibrational thing. And I'm okay with you. Because sometimes the MAD is there for evidence for a future court case, essentially.
Right.
You know, like, see, this bitch did this and this and this and this and this to me, and I shall never forgive her.
Yeah. So when you choose to remove someone from your life because of past experiences, is that holding on to the anger, or can you let go of the anger and still let go of the person?
That's a very good question, Melissa. First, you need to ask yourself, am I letting go of this person because they get on my last nerve and I am not willing to understand how to repair this relationship?
Okay.
Or am I letting go of this person because they are poisonous to me? Now, there are a lot of examples of poisonous people. There are many people who like to have more gentle natured people as their subjects, so to speak. And that's very good. And the anger is there to remind you that this is not, your soul is saying no. But that rarely happens with these people because they're so excellent at diffusing our anger that we don't know it. So the other form of anger is about people who have, let's say, difficult relationships. And that's usually within families. Usually you don't care enough to have a relationship with somebody until it becomes difficult. Unless, of course, it's a love relationship. But then, of course, then it becomes a family again. So in this turn, you understand why the MAD is there. And this is one of the few times you need to understand why. What are the triggers for the MAD? What is it really saying? Because remember, I wasn't actually being triggered by my husband eating it funny. I was actually being triggered by my husband ignoring me.
And it just so happened that in that moment, that was the time to react to him ignoring you.
Yes, because there had been a lot of like, are you even listening? Right. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
that's with that one.
That's what that's about. So take the time in the relationship to understand what the MAD's about. Don't be, we've got to take responsibility for our side of the relationship as well. So we have to be responsible for our MAD. We can't say that, you get on my last nerve and it's all your fault.
Yeah. I do it all the time though with my husband. I realize, or at least which I don't know, I have that problem of stuffing the MAD, but I do have tendency to go inside and say, okay, this is not completely your fault. Why am I feeling this way before I take it out on you? So that way, when I do come to you, I can come to you with my actual truth versus what I thought was the truth.
Or what I put on you as my previous truth.
Right, the expectation. So like, he didn't take out the trash fast enough. Remember we had this conversation. And it wasn't that he didn't take it out fast enough. It's just that I would have done it and had it out the way, but he wanted to do it when he wanted to do it. And this is this whole thing. I don't want to do it when you want me to do it. And I'm like, but I just want it done. So we go through this whole back and forth thing. And then I realized that I just like to do things when I want them done. So if I just do it, then it's okay.
So what that anger was about was that he disrespected your timetable.
Yeah, and that's not fair to him. That's totally not fair to him. And I'm sure I'm not the only wife that does that.
I know. I mean, it's never about how he loads the dishwasher.
No, because he's actually really good at handling those things and helping out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints except for the ones I create.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, ladies, when you bitch and moan about, you know, not having any respect and not having, you've got to understand that respect comes from you as well as to you.
Mm.
And by allowing, I was an angry young wife. I was. I mean, I was a force, definitely. And so I learned that if I stepped back and stopped, you know, saying that this has to be done and this has to be done and this has to be done this way and this, if I let go and what did we just say earlier? My attachment to the outcomes and how the outcomes were to be, then the mad does go away. Sometimes mad is about being very self-important. So the thing is, you just got to understand where the root of the mad is.
That makes sense.
And that's the hardest part. And so, and the guides want to tell us a step-by-step way of doing it. Oh, cool. I had no idea. Right. So the first thing you do is notice that you're mad, because many people don't. They get this big blow up and then they start saying, well, that's not a valid reason to be mad, and push. So they want you to bring the mad back. And the next thing they want you to do is to separate yourself from the thing that is instigating the trespass, the feelings of trespass. The third thing they want you to do is understand what was the trespass.
Okay.
And so you do that with the whys. So I'm mad at him because he wanted to take away his sandwich. Well, that's not a trespass. Well, why is that a trespass? So because he wanted to take apart his sandwich, that meant that he didn't want to eat it the way I gave it to him. Yes, that's a trespass. Now, why is that a trespass? Why is not eating? You see, you just keep going down and ask your questions. Why is this a trespass? Until you get to the real reason of the trespass, which in your case, he wasn't listening to me. And I mean, or in my case, he wasn't listening to me. And in your case, he wasn't respecting your timetable.
Right.
And that's it. And once we get there, then you can decide how mad you want to be.
Usually once you get there, you realize what the issue is. And you're like, yeah, you know what? This is not even a thing.
It's not even a thing.
It's not even a thing. Let me just take it out. Take the trash out.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is his insistence that he'd take the trash out is also an act of service. So he was showing you his love. But see, here's another layer of mad. You want to understand. He shows you his love because he sincerely insists on he'll do it. But maybe you're mad because he doesn't love you enough to jump up and do it for you right now.
Well, that's the thing. I got over doing it right away because I know it's a thing. You want me to do it right now? My son is the same way. He doesn't like to do things when I say them. So it must be me projecting on them. Hey, I need you to do this. They never do it right away. And then I'm sitting here like, well, when are you going to do it then? I'm just going to go do it. So again, it must be the whole timetable, or it just, maybe I have that effect on men. I don't know. But I've learned to.
You know what? I think it's human. All humans don't like to be told what to do. If they're doing something, they don't want to stop what they're doing and do something else.
That's it. And I completely get it. So and see, for me, then I get rid of the mad and I just do it myself.
And here's the thing though. All right. So if I'm human and I've got to, you know, what I'm focusing on is important to me, right? Doesn't matter whether it's important or not. So let's just take your son's thing. That fantasy football is 10 times more important to me than that freaking trash. It's like down here. My fantasy football is up here. So when I finish what's important to me, I'm very happy to comply with maybe putting it up here. And that's exactly what's going on in people's minds.
Maybe. I'm sure. I'm sure it is. And then what that does for me is that forces me to realize that nobody else cares about my home being clean like I do. I'm the only one that gives a poop if this place is clean or not.
Nailed it. Melissa Jackson nailed it. Then we say they are disrespecting us because they don't care about what's important to me.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, I guess that's just the way it is, that I'm the only one that cares about the home being clean.
I do believe that might be testosterone related. I mean, while there are some men who can keep things really neat and tidy,
Yeah.
they tend not to be. My husband likes things neat but not clean, and your husband probably likes things neat and doesn't care whether they're clean or not.
Well, he. I think my husband cares if it's clean. I don't know. I think my husband just likes, he's acts of service guy, so he likes to do whatever I want. He knows that I like it clean, so he wants it clean.
Oh,
that's all.
wow.
So as long as I want it clean, he'll make sure that it's clean for me. I told you I don't have any issues. My husband does. He's a good guy.
And y'all notice how clean the house is behind her. I want you to notice that.
Well, this is for the video. I got kids. They're toys over here.
It's clean. You don't see dust bunnies rolling up on the floor or anything. It's clean.
It's clean enough.
And mine too.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The main thing about anger is it is simply something from the ego it's just a mayday, mayday, mayday. This is something that's trespassing the boundary. Like, here's our boundaries. And the anger is only simply there to say, who goes there? I don't like this. Beep, 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 danger. Right. That's all it is. And when we shame that away, which some of us do, or we disregard our truth in deference of someone else's truth, i.e. get gaslit, or we decide that our anger is up here and more important than anything else. You see all the different ways that anger can get out of the way. Now, having a high vibration of anger, which most sensitive people don't have, unless, of course, they haven't expressed any anger. So it's right under the surface at all the time. Figure out why you're mad all the time. Every little thing triggers you. Now, that is a real thing. That is a real thing. So when you go and you find this makes you mad, then you got to go beneath that and why that makes you mad, and how, I'd say slow down, start making words make sense.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit, so we didn't hear you anyway.
Okay, good. So
how the universe works.
This is what they're saying. If you have subjugated your mad long enough, then every small thing makes you mad. Mm-hmm. So, and you become more and more self-important.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I was just about to ask, what about people who are just like so angry, and when they do get angry, they are extreme angry, but then you kind of went there anyway. So thanks for reading my mind.
What are friends for?
But yeah, I think back to a time in my life when I was just so angry all the time, like I needed that release. I needed that punching bag so I wouldn't punch holes in the wall. I needed to release that anger into something. And I think that as I got older and started doing the yoga and the meditation and the I think that I went the other way, the enlightened route, and I just, that's okay. I'm not angry at anything or anyone anymore at all, which is ridiculous.
Neither one are true.
No, they're both ridiculous.
And I want you to notice, Melissa, where you were living when you needed that punching bag, because there was it's like we are affected by our surroundings. And remember, there's people walk around mad all the time. And so we're walking through the mad. And we must acknowledge people who have very weak energetic boundaries and accept the vibrations of others. That's also a thing.
Yes, I do have weak energetic boundaries. Thank you.
Well, you did back then. And so you were walking through, where were you living?
Yeah, I guess people were angry. It was a lot of energy and emotion going around during that time.
There was a lot of disgust where you were living.
Yeah.
Everybody was disgusted with something, and you get disgusted enough, then you get mad.
Probably with each other and me.
And the world. They're just disgusted with the world. This isn't what I ordered, world.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I guess that level of anger is just people walk around angry at everything all the time because they're just not happy with themselves.
Yep. And we landed on it finally. When the real mad is mad with yourself, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Change.
And how do we do that?
It seems like it's as simple as get happy, but we know that there's nothing simple about that.
First thing is to get real.
Yeah,
and what we mean by real is understand what is the story that you're telling yourself versus what's really actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're back full circle again to stories.
It always is. Everything
Always is.
Every single time. It always goes back to the truth, what you think, your beliefs, because that's really the core and the foundation of everything. That starts with the energy of it, then what you believe about it, then you act based on what you believe. And, you know, the only way to change that, the first thing to do is notice. And you know, then call us.
That's right. That's what we're here for.
Then call us, or, you know, log into the Facebook group and ask a question or something. You know, we're here to help, because it is tough. I mean, we see our stuff because we're busy telling each other, hey, this is your stuff. You know, Sally never would have realized all these years that she apologized for laughing until I pointed it out. Like,
I never would have.
Yeah, she would have just kept going. But I heard it, so I was like, hey, why are you sorry for laughing? It's funny. It's okay.
Because laughter wasn't allowed when I was a child. There was no laughter allowed in the house. It was irritating to my parents. Because in a house full of little girls, people have heard little girl laughs. They're kind of shrill and they can be very silly.
Maybe my girls are still small, but to me, when they laugh, it just cracks me up.
Well, it's because you're a different kind of a parent than mine were.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It's okay. It's just a thing. And that's another thing. Sometimes anger, again, we talked about anger being self-important, but if you let go of the importance of it and just understand it's either an is or an is not, and that we have the power to shift that, that's when the possibilities become realities.
I agree with that. And I think that's what I'm doing instead of actually stuffing my anger, is realizing that this is not really important. This does not matter. This is not a thing. That's been, you know, my new foundation is, you know, this is not a thing. We're always making something a thing, something, but it's not a thing.
It can be. Be careful with that. And that's what they're saying. Because if you're always taking away your things, right? If just be sure that you're understanding what you're tossing in the bin.
Be clear.
Yeah, be clear with yourself. So if you're angry, acknowledge that you're angry. Get to the bottom of it with 5 whys or 6 whys or 7 whys. Go as deep as you need to go to get to the bottom of the why, to find the real trespass, and then decide whether it's a thing or not. Because if you do it up here, then you're disregarding yourself.
Yeah.
And so you get it. And then it ends up in your shoulders.
I help to feel it first. So then I'll get rid of the shoulder pain that I've been having for like 6 months.
There's been some mad in there, babe.
There is some mad in there.
Yeah, there's some mad, and it's been longer than 6 months.
Probably my entire adult life. However, we're going to get rid of the mad one day.
Well, you know what?
Maybe we can.
Guys just said you never get rid of the mad. You just become more acquainted and more friendly with it.
Well, believe it or not, I tell my shoulders every single day how much I love them. And they're just not listening to me.
Shoulders are about forgiveness. I noticed because I've got a shoulder, but I've been doing better. Look, I can do this now. But it's about forgiveness, and you just have to go back and find all the trespasses that you haven't forgiven.
You couldn't even say it with a straight face. You mean all of the trespasses?
Shoulders is where you keep the evidence of the trespasses, shoulders and low back.
Those are my two favorite places to feel things. And you called the other one too, the hip. So that's where all my mad is.
It's where everybody's is.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah. And that's the thing is we're simply human. We can't be anything but human. And our mission is to just to be a better human that we, today than we were yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all it is.
More than that.
On that note, do you think we're done?
I think we got our point across. How about you?
I think so too. And so if you want to get in touch with us, Melissa has a mastermind meetup every Sunday morning, and she has yoga and movement every day of the week, right?
Every day except Saturday. We are up and moving at 8 a.m. So if you're interested in getting in on that daily practice, let me know. Melissa Jackson.
MelissaJackson.com. Go for it, guys. And what I do is I am helping people who have more entranced issues long-term. Because remember we said when the emotions aren't felt, they go inward and they become something else. And frequently it's an autoimmune issue or a metabolic issue. And that is what I'm focusing on now. Go to sallyreed.com. I work by application. So just hit the apply to work with me, and it's a free call and we'll talk.
Nice. Free calls with you are fun.
Thank you.
The bottom of things.
Yep, that's what it is.
All right. Well, thank you for spending your Sunday with us. As always, we appreciate you. We love you.
We do love you, and we're so sorry we can't comment on the Facebook, but we can't see you. Till next week.
Until next time.